champion rebalances, whether it's a buff or a nerf to the champion, is happening a lot these days in Raid Shadow Legends because of the new content that is happening and being added to the game all the time. And we have a lot of older champions who no longer fit into the new meta, so they're kind of getting to them and making some changes. And in this video I wanted to take a look at 4 champions that are going to be recently buffed or nerfed, depending on how you look at it in this video. The first one that I wanted to take a look at is Baron. Now, I know that I don't usually make this type of videos because half of these champions, I don't use them. Why? Because they're most likely not the most commonly or the most popular champions in Raid because of their stats or because how they perform in the game. So Baron is one that I don't currently own, but when I did pull him in our first Noob to Pro series, I did not use him, I did not build him because the community in general agrees that these champions are not your top tier champions. So he belongs to the Bannerlords faction, and it's a legendary void champion. Yes, so most players who use the champion for Doom Tower or for some, you know, he hits really hard. He has good multipliers and all that, so people rely on him using this Sky Piercer ability right there, which he can unlock by doing A1, A2, A3 on different percentages, right? 10% right there to unlock it, that secret skill, 20% right there to unlock it, and then a 40% chance right here to unlock it. It's a good one that when he unlocks this one, everything goes down. This is his AoE skill, and when it's unlocked, he deals true damage. So what has been changed about this champion? Is it going to make him better or make him worse? Well, guess what? Sky Piercer on Baron will no longer be locked behind A1, A2, and A3. These new changes that is coming on will make Sky Piercer a 3rd or 4th ability that he will have all the time available for him, and it will be on a cooldown. How many turn cooldown right now? Let me quickly see. Sky Piercer will be on a 4th turn cooldown, so it will be one that you maybe want to start the battle with for Baron. Alright, the new Sky Piercer that is being unlocked that will be available on a 4th turn cooldown now says that it will attack all enemies, will ignore shield buffs and block damage buffs, and as well as ignore 50% of the target's defense. So a lot of people are comparing it to what it was before, ignoring 50% of the target's defense and dealing through damage, whether it's the same thing. So right here it's not ignoring 50% of the target's defense, but the new one will take away through damage, pure damage, and it will just ignore 50% of the target's defense. So you'll still be a champion you want to build in Savage. It's not a champion I own, and I'm not that pressed about this one, but for people who use this champion as a solo on most content where they can just go in with their A2 and A3 and always have this Sky Piercer being unlocked whenever they use this thing, has a 40% chance of unlocking it. Now it will be on a 4th turn cooldown, and it won't be permanently available for you to use whenever you unlock it. So it will be taken away from this A2, it will be taken away from here. Now something else is coming right here to his speed. His speed will be increased from 90 to 100 for Baron. Basically, they're trying to make this champion more viable for general content, because when people see a champion that is a single target on his A1, A2, A3 is not the most ones people want to use. So they want a one that is AoE available for him to be used in general content. I think that's the idea behind it, but I don't know if taking away this true damage was the smart thing to do. Anyways, let me know what you think about this one. Is it a nerf or a buff for Baron? Is it going to be better right now? I guess we'll have to wait till we test him in the game to find out if this will make him hit harder than he used to by ignoring 50% of the target's defense on AoE basis. All right, something else is coming though. That's not all. The A3 will now decrease the turn meter right there. It will be from a 6 turn cooldown to a 5 turn cooldown. Basically, when you book it, it will now be a 3 turn cooldown on that A3 of Righteous Charge. So that's something else you should know that is coming to Baron. Maybe that will make him better. All right, the next champion that is being nerfed or buffed, I think this one will be a buff in this case, is from the Skinwalker faction, and it's not a legendary. No, it's an epic that everybody uses as food. Basically, if you're end game, I don't think I've seen any one person who have built Snorting Thug to be used in the game. That's how bad it is in terms of his kit, because he's not used in raid at all, except for faction wars when you have no choice but to build champions like this for the Skinwalkers faction. I don't really see this champion in general and game. So what is being changed about him? Will this make him better? Snorting Thug. On the A1, it says attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit now has a 30% chance of stealing a random buff. It's no longer a 20% chance. It has been increased to a 30% chance. You can be booked up to now 50% chance total of stealing a random buff. Good A1, I guess, but we are not pressed about that one. Let's see if it's any better. On the A2, Rukos is the name. It says cooldown will be decreased from 4 to 3. It's currently on a 4-turn cooldown and it cannot be booked to even reduced right there. So now it will be on a 3-turn cooldown by default with no chance of booking it also. What does it do? We'll ignore the target's defense if there are no active buffs. Stealing 2 random buffs from the target. So I guess this is supposed to hit hard. We'll ignore the target's defense. All his defense will be ignored if there are no active buff on the target. Steals 2 random buff on the target if they have buffs. So it's just it's a thief. It's all there for. His A1 is stealing buffs. His A2 is stealing buffs. But I don't know if this will make him become viable or more useful in raid in general. So that's all that has been changed about that skill. Nothing else. It will still ignore defense. It will steal 2 random buffs, and that's it. Now on what else is he bringing? That's it. That's all that is changing about Snorting Thug. Is this enough to make him more viable? 3-turn cooldown right here and 30%? I don't think so. Snorting Thug is not getting out of my vault. I don't think it's gonna be making him more viable. Basically, he's just a champion that removes buffs from the enemies, and if they don't have buffs, he will nuke by ignoring their defense entirely. Damage based on HP though, that's something I've never really noticed in the past. Damage based on HP. All right, the next champion that is being buffed or nerfed is, what's his name? Reaper. Reaper is right next to Snorting Thug. They are both from the Skinwalkers faction, and this one is also not one I've ever built or seen used in general. Not even in Faction Wars, I've not seen him being used. But let's see if these changes that are coming in will make him become more viable. On the A1, it has been increased to a 30% chance of decreasing their max HP by 10% of the damage inflicted. So decreasing targets max HP these days is popular because of Scarab and other content, but we have ways of beating it, so I don't see why they keep making more champions that can decrease enemy max HP when it's not decrease the target's max HP when it's not something that is really that important right now in raid. I feel like we've taken care of that content with an Amiga or with Alor or whoever we're using Cold Heart in either certain accessories or sets. But I don't think it needs to be added more. But they are increasing his percentage of decreasing max HP by 30% of the damage inflicted. So that's the change that is coming right there to him. On the A2, which is what? No, not the A2 is being changed. The A3 is being changed. Said it will decrease the turns right there from 5-turn cooldown to a 4-turn cooldown of ignoring 50% of the target's defense. Decreases their max HP also by 30% of the damage inflicted. So a lot of people are saying they don't have champion for this Scarab. I guess he has it inbuilt into him of decreasing target's max HP. But it's just that I've not still seen him being used. People rather build an Amiga for that purpose with Destroy set than to build this champion for that type of content. I don't know where else in the game we can benefit from decreasing target's max HP, but so far it's only the Scarab I can think of, and that makes this champion still go right back into the vault, except one of the faction war boss that requires his max HP to be reduced before you can, do a lot of damage and win that battle. So that's the changes that are coming right there to this one. It will be increased to 40%. Decrease their max HP to 40%. This one, yes, where is it? It's currently 30%, so it would now be 40% right there. So the A1 will increase to 30%, while the A2 will be increased to 40% of decreasing their max HP. On the Aura, increase ally crit rate in all battles by 19%. It's currently increase force ally crit rate. It will now be changed to all ally crit rate. It's not only force champions now that their crit rate will be increased. That was kind of weird, but it requires you to use only force champions before they will benefit from it, and nobody uses him in the leader slot for that purpose, I guess. But with this now being all champions, crit rates in all battles will be increased by 90% if you have Reaper in the leader slot. Does this make him more viable now for content? In my books, no. Not even for my Noob to Pro series. Is not a champion I intend to use. All right, finally, let's see the last champion that is being buffed or nerfed. 8 Bloodfeather, one of the champions that I needed, I think, is for the Rising Fusion, and it's from the Ox faction. And yeah, I've seen people use this champion because I think she kind of nukes really hard in terms of multipliers, and if you build her well, she will do damage. But let's see if this makes her become more viable or more useful in general content. Hunt Down is the skill I'm looking for on that A1. It now has an extra 30% chance of inflicting a critical hit. It used to be a 20% chance right there of inflicting a critical hit. That means this champion on the A1 can do with 70% crit, right? What about the A2? Also has an extra 30% chance. So basically, all our skills that used to have an extra 20% chance of inflicting a critical hit now has a 30% chance of inflicting a critical hit. She has now become one of those champions you want to build with only 70% crit rate, because her A3 will also feature that. I guess, let me see, has an extra 20% chance. Yes, so A1, A2 and A3 all now have, or the A3 was not changed. Yes, it was changed. All now have a 30% chance of inflicting a critical hit. That's the first change I noticed that is coming. And then for the A3 now, the cooldown has gone from 5-turn cooldown to a 4-turn cooldown. When booked, it will be a 3-turn cooldown of doing this big nuke that places decreased speed, buff for 2 turns, decreases the target's turn meter by 30%, and then that critical hit right there. So she's gonna be better, I guess. I don't see the difference between 30% and 20%. It's not that big of a deal because most players in raid are fine with building 100% crit rate. So I don't see this big change that is coming to her. The cooldown right there coming from 5-turn cooldown to a 3-turn cooldown when booked, I guess that's a good change, but overall it's not enough to make this champion come out of the vault. That's what I don't think is enough. So because we still have better damage dealers in terms of epic champions who we are still using in general content right now, which makes her not have any slot in our teams. So I've gone through the 4 champions which are being nerfed or buffed depending on how you read their skills or depending on how you look at them or where you use them. But in my general overview, I've gone through it and told you what I think about the 4 of them. Baron will be considered enough for most players who enjoy him right now as he is, but for most players who have never used him, they will be happy to have a champion who has an AoE already always available for them to use in general content and doesn't have to rely on 50-50 to unlock it. An AoE that has that 50% ignore defense. Then for the other epics, including Bloodfeather, I don't think this buff or rebalance, let's call it that, rebalance, I don't think this rebalance will bring them out of the vault. That's my thought on these new champions that are going to be nerfed or buffed or rebalanced in the upcoming patch. Let me know in the comments what you think about this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Raid Shadow Legends content. Later, guys.